This woman is about to sleep with her ex-boyfriend on the very bed she shares with her husband. She invited her ex-boyfriend Smart to her home with sinister intentions, ready to lie to her husband that he was a distant cousin. When he arrived, she quickly reminded him of his role as her cousin, and just as they were exchanging pleasantries at the door, her husband walked in on them. He hugged his wife while eyeing Smart in confusion, prompting her to quickly introduce Smart as her distant cousin, whom he had never met before. They exchanged a handshake, and without realizing it, Bhadman had just invited his greatest enemy into his home under the guise of family. He quickly tells his wife that he has a work emergency to attend to, then tells Smart to make himself comfortable, assuring them both that he'll be back soon. Sometimes the real danger isn't the stranger at your door, but the one you welcome in as family. Bhadman leaves the house, believing his wife is in the company of family, unaware that his absence has given the so-called cousin a chance to become her partner in adultery. Not every guest enters with good intentions. Some come to destroy what love has built. Bhadman's wife defiled the very bed that once symbolized their love by bringing Smart into it, proving her utter disregard for her marriage vows. The bed that was once a symbol of love between Bhadman and his wife has now turned into a ground of betrayal, with Smart seated upon it, listening to her plot the end of her marriage. When loyalty fades, even the bed meant for love becomes a stage for betrayal. Bhadman's wife plots to end her marriage by taking her husband's life, driven by greed for his wealth and a desire to marry her lover, Smart. When greed joins hands with lust, even love becomes a target. After a few hours, Smart's patience begins to fade as he waits nervously for Bhadman's return to finish what they started. She reassures him that her husband will be home any moment, and just as her words fade, a knock comes from the door. Smart jumps off the bed and quickly gets dressed, excitement flashing across his face as he realizes the second phase of their plan is about to unfold. Bhadman waits patiently at the door, unaware that the delay is caused by his wife's desperate attempt to hide her betrayal within their own home. Smart quickly slips out of the room, while Bhadman's wife hastily straightens the bed to make it look untouched before going to answer the door. A few moments after Bhadman's return, he asked his wife for a drink, which she sees as the perfect opportunity to execute her sinister plan. Before serving Bhadman, she secretly slips a deadly substance into his cup, the final step in her plot to seize his property. She walks unsuspectingly toward Bhadman with the drink, and he greets her with a smile as she sets it down on the table. Accepting a drink without caution can sometimes mean swallowing more than just liquid. It could be trust, deception, or danger. She picks up the glass with the substance and hands it to him, but in a glance, he remembers he left his phone on the bed and asks her to fetch it. Smart is already in Bhadman's room, rummaging through the office files in search of property documents. Bhadman's wife enters and immediately becomes upset at the sight of Smart in the room, fearing he might jeopardize their plans. Smart leans in toward Bhadman's wife, revealing the landed property documents he has uncovered, shifting her fear into elation at the fortune they are about to claim. Bhadman picks up the glass and takes a sip, calmly waiting for his wife to come back. From the first sip, He senses a delightful taste in the drink and finishes the glass in just a few seconds. Temptation often hides its danger behind the sweetest taste. Within seconds, Bhadman feels a burning sensation in his throat, causing him to cough violently as he calls out to his wife for help. Bhadman's dying voice reaches Smart, who quickly alerts Bhadman's wife that her husband must have consumed the drink. She erupts with joy as her wicked plan unfolds perfectly, and together, they walk triumphantly into the sitting room. With little life left, Bhadman struggles to breathe as his wife and Smart rush in, feigning concern while secretly being the masterminds behind his suffering. False concern hides the darkest joy, for some hearts celebrate what should break them. They act concerned for him, but the instant he dies, they explode with joy and laughter, celebrating their vile success. Bhadman's wife, whom he married out of love, has become the instrument of his death, driven by greed and her unfulfilled desire for her ex-boyfriend. She picks up the glass of whiskey from the table and sits on the couch, with Smart beside her, as they continue their celebration. Through Bhadman's death, they have illegally seized his wealth and property, ready to build their lives on his fortune. Greed can blind even the closest hearts, turning love into betrayal and trust into a weapon. Without fear or remorse for the crime they've just committed, they sit proudly in Bhadman's presence, dividing his wealth between themselves. As they share the wealth, they drink the whiskey she picked up from the table, celebrating their love and the start of their new life together. Those who steal without remorse wear their crimes like a crown, blind to the justice they will one day face. She settles on Smart's lap and begins to cough gently, then looks at him in confusion and asks if he put something in the drink. To prove her wrong, Smart takes another sip from the drink, while Bhadman's wife keeps coughing uncontrollably. In that moment, Smart also begins to cough, sending Bhadman's wife into a panic as she struggles to understand why they're both gasping and choking. While they gasp in confusion over their sudden coughing, Bhadman slowly rises from where he lay, his eyes fixed coldly on them. They both freeze in shock as they realize Bhadman had been faking his death all along. Evil has a way of circling back. Those who pour poison often end up tasting it themselves. Bhadman walks to them silently, watching as they gasp and choke for air, suffering the very fate they had plotted for him. He sits on the edge of the couch and calmly begins to explain how he discovered their betrayal. He tells his wife that while she was in the kitchen preparing his drink, he had come to share good news, but instead caught her adding a substance to it. Upon discovering her betrayal, he chose not to confront her, but instead decided to let her face the very fate she had planned for him. Betrayal doesn't always need punishment. Sometimes, justice is simply letting the betrayer taste their own poison. He left the kitchen with his mind set to act as if everything was normal, then switched the drink and pretended to die, giving her a false sense of victory. He then turns to Smart, expressing his disappointment for allowing himself to be used as a tool to destroy another man's home. This is a lesson to everyone. Greed corrupts the heart. Unchecked desire for wealth and possessions can lead to betrayal and destruction. Deception has consequences. Using lies and manipulation to harm others can backfire. Evil often carries its own downfall. Those who plot harm or become victims of their own schemes. Trust wisely. Blind trust in others, even loved ones, can be dangerous. Thank you for watching this video. Please share this video and comment your thoughts and where you are watching from.